Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Villains Rebuilt. My name is Matt, and this is the series that has spawned out of my European Domination Blues, where I failed to stay at Chelsea to Christmas instead of trying to make them the dominant force in Europe. So, this is going to be what we're doing now. We've taken over at Villa. In the last episode, you saw us play Sheffield United, so I'll just take you through how we've fared since then. So as you can see, we've not done too badly. We beat Sheffield United. We then drew with Brentford, which I wasn't impressed with. As I think they are towards the bottom of the Championship. But we then drew with Middlesbrough, who are currently top of the Championship. So that was a good game. The Bristol City game, I don't know what happened. I didn't understand it. We played a full strength team. They didn't have anybody special, and as you can see, we've managed to knock them out of the FA Cup later on in the run. So I just don't know what happened with that game, but we weren't impressive, and we've obviously lost 4-0. But since then, we've beaten Yeovil in the FA Cup, so we got the through in that first round. We then drew with Nottingham Forest, and then we've beaten Barnsley and Sheffield United again in the Championship, and then we've knocked Bristol City out of the FA Cup. So you're with us here for the Burton game today. I've finished the January transfer window, so if we just have a look, I've made quite a few. As you can see, we failed to sign Papis Cisse, Demba Ba, Cameron Jerome, Jordan Rhodes. Issues with funding for either having enough to pay for the transfer or just couldn't afford wages. Andre Green is one of our players that Leeds tried to take for no contribution of his wages, which I just wasn't having. So if we look at our transfer history, you can see that I brought in Matty Palmer so in fact, right, all of these are ours. So if we ignore the stuff on the right, because I don't know which of those have happened since I came in. Actually, I think it's everything from Jack Grealish. They've got the dates on. I'm just blind. Sorry. So yeah, as you can see, we've sold Jack Grealish. I couldn't play him. There was no way to play him. So I've sold Jack Grealish to Swansea for 6.25 million. I've sold Mika Richards. Sorry, let him go out on loan. I couldn't sell him, but Bolton took him out on loan. Ross McCormack, who came back, but he was not good enough to get anywhere near our squad, so he's gone back out on loan. Tried to sell Henri Lansbury, but couldn't, so he's gone out on loan. James Bree again gone out on loan, and then Albert Adoma, whatever his name is, has gone to Wolves. 1.9 up front. They're paying me 30,000 for every game he plays for the first 10 games, and if he plays 20 games, then we get 400,000. So we will hit that £2.5 million for him, but I'm not too fussed. If we look at what we've brought in, I brought in Gideon Zelalem basically because I remember him from Lujo's non-league to legend last year. I think is where I remember him from. He turns out to be a good player. His contract is up at the end of the season. He's not good enough to get in our central midfield at the moment, but his potential is just way above anything that we've got. So, I mean, he's sixth. Bearing in mind we play three central midfielders, he'd be in our second string team if we were playing to lose in the FA Cup, which unfortunately we're not. Um, so I've actually got him playing on our reserves at the moment, but I basically brought him in with a view to hopefully at the end of the season he'll agree to come to us permanently, which would definitely be good. And then, as you can see, Lucas Moule is one of the players that I bought when I was at Chelsea. I've brought him in. Again, his contract is up at the end of the season. He's not quite good enough to start, although he has been starting some games. Whoever's report this is, so this particular coach has got him down as sixth. Fernando Morientes, who I've brought in as my assistant manager, actually likes to pick him as a first choice centre back. I think it's probably more for his potential, but he's been picking him over John Terry. I've tended to play Terry, but I've given him Moore a couple of starts, and he's done well. Our next one is Reece Nelson from Arsenal. I wanted cover from the wings. I've decided that I'm going to stick with wingers for now. I know I said I haven't been making them work well, but I've decided to stick with it anyway. So Reece Nelson is going to be playing when Robert Snodgrass can't on the left hand side. And we've also brought in Ronnie Lopez. So if we just skip over Palmer for a second, we brought in Ronnie Lopez, who is another youngster that I brought in at Chelsea, who's going to start on our right wing. Again, Snodgrass is supposed to be better than him, but he's going to be playing. Snodgrass is going to be on the left hand side. So Ronnie Lopez is going to be on our right hand side as an inside forward. He's already scored, I think, one or two for us. He's been playing really well. I'm well happy with managing to get him to come in. So we've got him. Matty Palmer is an advanced playmaker. He's not quite as good as some of the central midfielders, but we don't have anybody who's natural as an advanced playmaker. That's what I've gone for. I've gone for somebody who can actually be a natural advanced playmaker. He's a youngster, so he's still got potential to improve. I can't remember what his. So I mean, he looks like he could become, and he's only fourth, so he's generally starting and one of the three players that are in this list on the right here. One of those three is tending to miss out so that Palmer can get in the team because I think he's going to be good for us going forward. Ronnie Lopez, we've already said. Sam Johnston was at the club on loan. I cancelled the loan and then attempted to buy him because I wanted to have either somebody. I either wanted a goalkeeper that was here full time, and it was either going to be him or it was going to be somebody else. So what I didn't want a goalkeeper to rely on that was going to be on loan. So I cancelled his loan. I offered United 500 and something thousand. Not much anyway. Yeah, 575,000, which they accepted. And it just means that he's now our full-time goalkeeper, as you can see. You can't see how he did previously down here, but if you look at this history again, he's already played 24 games for us this season. His rating is 6.88, which isn't great, but I don't think he's done too badly. He's certainly slightly better than either of the other keepers at the club, and it's just nice to be certain that we've got a base to work on. I want, with the exception of Mull, I want our entire sort of defensive line to be people that I can rely on and people that I know I can build on. So John Terry signed a new contract, as has a couple of others, and we're just hoping now that we can go on and build that back four into a proper back four. But Kyle Walker-Peters in as cover because we've only got one left back. His contract's up at the end of the season, and I'd love to get him in. Again, he's another former non-league to legend from the Luso stream. I think it was it Ipswich where he was one of the big players when Kev was there in his first non-league to legend. But he's certainly a player I've heard of. He obviously was there for Spurs at the start of the season and played well, got man of the match in their first Premier League game, I believe. And obviously he's got potential to burn, so he's certainly able to sort of cover at left back and right back for us. Alan Hutton wouldn't sign a new deal, so we've got Richard Delac playing at right back at the moment. But if we can get Kyle Walker-Peters in on a permanent deal at the end of the season, then I'll be very happy, and we'll be able to build around having a fairly young fullback that can cover at both sides. And then on transfer deadline day, I realised that I wasn't happy that in case we have to go to a two-striker system, we didn't have enough. So brought in James Wilson on loan. He's already, third in our pecking order, just above the other guy that we brought in. But he's basically just brought in case we go to that three-striker system. I may well be terminating his loan at some point, but for now. And the other guy we brought in is this Joe Mason. He can also cover at central attacking midfield. So if we had to go for a 4-3-1-2 or a similar formation, then he could do a job either behind the striker or thing. Like I said, he's just behind James Wilson in the pecking order, but I mean, I'm perfectly happy with that. If we were going to a two-striker system, I wouldn't particularly want to play him in a one-striker system. As you can see, he's not a complete forward by any stretch of the means. You can do advance forward okay, which works okay on its own. Deep line forward again works okay on its own, but Trequartista, and I can't play with a false nine, so he'll never be getting a game as that. But um, I'd be happier with him in a two striker system. But Hogan and Kodja are going to get in the team ahead of him anyway. So and that's basically how it's gone since you've last been with me. So I'm going to take you straight into the match here. So if we just have a look at the team that we're going to be using today. So we've got Sam Johnson in goal, Alan Hutton, James Chester, John Terry, and Neil Taylor at the back. Glenn Whelan, Hurricane, and Bjarnason in midfield. Ronnie Lopez and Snodgrass with Jonathan Kudger. We've got Kyle Walker Peters, Jed Steer, Kyle Walker Peters, Lucas Moore, Matty Palmer, Reece Nelson, El Mohammadi, and Keenan Davis on the bench. To be honest with you, James Wilson will be hard done by that he's not on the bench, same as Joe Mason. Scott Hogan is injured at the moment. He got injured earlier on. In fact, I think I'm going to take Keenan Davis off the bench because he's knackered. I'm going to bring in Mason because he's one of our players. I might look to use James Wilson a bit later on in the season. So that's our team, and let's get into the game. So for anybody interested, here's the Burton team. Burton are actually bottom of the league, and we've taken one of their best players, and we've left them on the bench today. Of that team, if that's Emmanuel Abue at right back, I've heard of him. Um, Marvin Sordell up front, I've heard of, but the rest of them are not players that I'm familiar with. I'm going to do some opposition instructions. I'll just get Fernando Morientes to decide whatever he wants to do, and he's just showing three players on their weaker foot. I'm going to override that, and I'm just going to mark Marvin Sordell, and I'm going to close him down, and I'm going to show him onto his weaker foot because I don't want him anything coming through him. I think he's probably their strongest player. It might just be because I've heard of him, but that's all it is. And it is Emmanuel Abure at right back for them. So I've heard of a couple of their players, but like I say, with them being bottom of the league, I'm hoping that this should be a good win for us today. So first, Hurricane in there for this first highlight, and Snodgrass has lost it wide. Burton are looking to build. Sordell just playing it around in the centres at the moment. Cleared, well covered by Alan Hutton. Terry up to Hurricane. Snodgrass, Bjarnason, wheeling out to Snodgrass. Snodgrass crosses it in, and Codger sticks it in the net. 1-0 to Aston Villa. So Snodgrass into Bjarnason. Bjarnason out to Whelan. Whelan plays it out to Snodgrass. What's a great ball out. Cracking cross into the near post, and Codger heads it in for the first goal of this game. So they've got a throwing it to Sordell, into Allen, back to Murphy, into Allen. Well won back though by our central midfield. Bjarnason, Whelan, out to Ronnie Lopez, who's cutting inside and loses out. And we've won it back again though. Bjarnason through to Snodgrass. Snodgrass has a shot and it's straight down Ripley's throat. I'll highlight again. Terry up to Bjarnason, Whelan, Hurricane, Snodgrass, back to Whelan. He's got space. Codger was through, and I think it was a good save by their goalkeeper there. Snodgrass with a free kick, good save by their goalkeeper. Oh, it's come off the crossbar, I think. We've been all over them in that first half. We've deserved more than the 1-0 that we've got, but that's all we've got at the moment. Apparently, we're struggling for possession in the opposition half, despite the fact we've had 12 shots. I wish there was a way to turn that team analysis off because it just annoys me at half time. We're not making any changes at half time, so let's just get straight into this second half. So we've won the ball in centre midfield. Codger is through, has a shot, and it's straight down Ripley's throat. Right, so we're 58 minutes in, and there's not been much in the way of highlights in this second half. I'm going to bring Palmer on against his former club. Hurricane is not having the best game as an advanced playmaker, and that's what Palmer is. So bringing him on. I think El Mohammadi is going to come on the right wing for Ronnie Lopez, and we'll change him out to a winger so that he at least feels comfortable in what he's doing. and we'll see how that goes. First real highlight of the second half, I think, possibly second. And Hurst is through, and Burton have pulled it back to 1-1. Really disappointing. So there's an Abue throw in to Hurst, plays it back into Murphy. Murphy into Allen. Allen plays it through. Hurst comes out from behind John Terry, gets the couple of yards on him, and that's all you need. And with quarter of an hour left, I'm going to make the final change. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap Palmer out to, yeah, in fact, I'm just going to put Whelan up front, bring Palmer over there, leave Palmer as an advanced playmaker, Bjornsson as a box-to-box midfielder, and I'm going to bring Mason on and let him do what he wants to do. So it's a check Batista. See if I can get him building some attacks for Kodja, and see where we go in this last few minutes of this game. See if we can get a winner. We are attacking already. I'm just going to leave us as attacking. Be really disappointed if this game finishes 1-1 because we've deserved more from this game. We've had so many chances. They've had the one real attempt which we've seen, and that's the goal that they've scored. So Elmed Hamady here into Kodja. Kodja shoots from range, and that's just a silly thing to do, and that's the end of the game. That's a really disappointing result. Um, we really should have been winning that game. Like you can see, we've dominated possession. We've dominated the stats in terms of attacking stats. Possession, maybe not, but we were going into it with an attacking mentality. So I wouldn't really expect to dominate possession. I'm not looking to dominate possession, but we should be doing better than just a 1-1 draw against a team that's bottom of the league. We were only, I think, 5 points away from the playoffs before that game, so to be a little bit further away is not the thing. So here we go. In fact, yeah, we're still 4 points away from playoffs at the moment, so the playoffs we're well in with a shout for. A win today would obviously have improved our chances. But I mean, we're not even that far away. I mean, we're only 9 points away from the top of the league. So with the 16 games left in this season, we've still got an outside chance of automatic promotion. So I think what we'll do is we'll just look and see when we'll be back. So I want to get a little bit further into it. So we'll probably come back middle of March. We'll probably come back sometime around the Wolves or Bolton game, sometime down here. We'll see how that fares, see how we fared since then. Hopefully, we can keep this unbeaten run that we're currently on going for a little bit longer. I'm going to try and go quite far in the FA Cup. It's probably possibly a bad idea, but with us drawing QPR, there's every chance that we can certainly try and get to a quarter final, maybe try and get a decent payday just so that we've got a bit of extra funds in the summer in case we don't get promoted. I'm not expecting promotion by any chance, by any means. And if we do get into the playoffs, it'll just be again a way to boost our funds a little bit. I think we probably need to rebuild. There's a few players in the squad that are fairly old, so we definitely need to look at bringing some younger guys in. But if we can get the likes of Zella Lim or Moole to come in full time, Reece Nelson, Ronnie Lopez, any of the youngsters that we've got in on loan, if we can get a couple of them permanently, it would definitely increase our chances of promotion next season if we don't manage it this year. So that's been this episode. If you've enjoyed yourselves, please leave a like. And if you've got anything to say to me, leave a comment down below. If you want to find out how we fare between now and the end of the season, subscribe to the channel for videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and one day on the weekend. Usually, this week's been a bit special because obviously we were sacked by Chelsea, so there was no game in the Saturday episode. So I did a Saturday and a Sunday. Normally, you'll only have one episode on a weekend. So it'll be 4 videos a week. So if you want to stick around for that, then yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching.